My name is Natalie. This is my formative assessment video for Explore 11-12 for the anteriors. I'm going to sit between 12 and 1. My patient's head is straight. I'll be working on the facial and lingual surfaces of 8, 11, 22, and 28. To begin, I'll work on the facial surface of tooth number 8. I retracted the cheeks so you could see a little bit more, but for the anteriors, for the maxillary, for the facial, it's a palm grasp. Retract the lip with my index finger. I'm going to start by making sure I have the correct working end by seeing if it wraps around the surface that I'm working on. So that looks correct to me. Just going to check the other side. That also. Yeah, so actually this side is correct. Because also the shank is going across the tooth that you're working on. I'm going to have my fulcrum tall and sturdy. Start at the midline, the starting zone. Insert using the 2 to 3 millimeters, and I'm wrist racking and rolling as I make my way to my interproximal space. Come out, flip sides, so you can do the surface towards at the midline, using my 2 to 3 contact, wrist rack and roll into the interproximal space. For the lingual, mirror fulcrum between 4 and 5. Flip. Then at the midline, distal, and my away surface. Wrist rack and roll. And then for the towards surface, flip. Wrist rack and roll. Okay, so for 11, I'm just gonna have them slightly turn their head away from me. I'm still sitting between 12 and 1. So I have a palm grasp, retract the lip. I'm going to work on my away surface first. So I'm going to make sure that it wraps around and that the shank is coming across the facial surface of the tooth. Mirror fulcrum, or instrument fulcrum tall and straight on the occlusal. Start at the starting zone, which is the midline. Insert, wrist rack and roll. Interproximal space, come out, flip. I'm going to do the towards surface. Start at the midline, the starting zone. Up on your fulcrum finger. Wrist rack. Roll your way into the interproximal space. Come out. Mirror fulcrum between 4 and 5 so I can see better. I'm going to flip sides, work on the towards or the away surface. Wrist rack and roll. Stop, flip. I'm going to start at the midline. Wrist rack and roll. Okay, that completes the maxillary. So for the mandible, I'm starting on the mandibular anterior facial surface towards on tooth number 22. So I'm sitting at side. Head comes back to neutral. Palm grasp. Chin down a little bit. Palm grasp. Retract the lip, the lower lip with my index finger. So I'm going to start here. I'm going to work on the toward surface, so I'm going to make sure it wraps around and that it's coming across the face. Tall, strong, and on the incisal edge for my instrument fulcrum. Start at the starting zone in the middle. Just track and roll my way to there. And then I have to sit between 12 and 1 for the anterior facial away surface. So I'm just gonna start by doing the lingual towards. Let's say I have a mirror fulcrum between 14 and 15, or on the side of the cheek to retract the tongue, ear fulcrum. They flipped ends, so I'm just gonna wrist rock and roll my way into there. And now for the lingual surface for tooth number 22 for the towards, I'm sitting between 12 and 1. Going to palm grasp, hold the lip, flip for the way surface, fulcrum, incisal edge, start at the starting zone midline. Wrist rock and roll, and then mirror fulcrum between 4 and 5. And then for the lingual, flipped for the away surface, wrist rock and roll. Okay, so for my last tooth, number 28, for the towards, I'm sitting back outside. I'm just gonna have him turn his head towards me a little bit. Alright, palm grasp. I'm working my towards surface. Sure that goes around and wraps. Wrist rock and roll. Then for the towards lingual, fulcrum is coming on the side of the face, retracting the tongue, going to flip ends. Ear fulcrum. Just rock and roll. And then for the away surfaces, I'm sitting back between 12 and 1. Palm grasp, retract the lower lip. Make sure it wraps around the tooth that I'm working on. Ear fulcrum on the incisal edge, or the instrument fulcrum incisal edge. Just rock and roll. Then for the ear fulcrum between 4 and 5, the distal. And then for the away surface, just drag and roll.